just press the record button. So for your own awareness, you might see a button somewhere in the corner. So you know I'm not recording you in secret. Okay, I think we'll make a start. Welcome everybody. This is some free training that CPAS run, part of a wider digital agenda. And it's focused today, I think, around community tools and things we can use to make stronger, more resilient communities. I think we have a number of challenges at the moment as we go forward, not just COVID, how with changes in how community resources have changed. Like, we saw things like Community First, which operated, a lot in areas like Rachel's area. And a lot of those services have been withdrawn. God knows what Brexit and some of these funds that used to exist, what will replace them. And I just felt that communities need to help each other. And that's the theme of this section today. I hope you find it interesting. If not, sorry, I've wasted an hour of your time. So I've got some slides. If I can run through some of them first. I've got videos and things to show. If somebody does want to speak, just unmute yourself and say it. But obviously, if we can use the chat as well on the side, and there will be time at the end to have a bit more of a rounded discussion, if that makes sense. So if I could start, if that's okay, and then we'll take it from there. Just got to find my material. It's always that. It takes a minute on Zoom to get these things working properly. Is it? No, it's not going up yet. Not sure what you're seeing yet. Sorry, 2 seconds, just faffing around here. Right, I'm hoping you're now seeing some slides. Can Herman or Cheryl give me a thumbs up just because I can see them in the window on the side? If you can see some slides, great. Lovely. So welcome. This is using simple tools to improve local communities. So that's a bit of a title. Going to be a bit snappier than that, but I'm hoping the material will speak for itself as we go through. I'm David Wilton. Many of you know me, some of you don't. And there's my email address. Happy to talk about this subject afterwards, or any other part of the digital agenda. This material will be added afterwards to a section we sort of built in COVID called Mr. Webinar. And in there we've run 30 events probably over the summer. And in there you'll find recordings or slides and things like that of anything you may have missed or of interest. And it's on our website. So please do check that out. Jane is very, very efficient at getting all this stuff up on there. And you might be other things material. Equally, if you see something and think, if you want to run that in-house or you want one of the TPAS team to deliver something, just give us a shout. And as I say, this little section today is part of a wider, I think that was Amy joining us there. Hi, Amy. So this training today is part of a wider thing where we want to look at communications, we want to look at digital engagement, technology, and we've got a number of things coming up soon. Some of them will just be, oh, I don't know what that was, but as I say, it's part of a wider digital training, and you'll see some stuff coming out soon, probably mid next week, on a lot of new exciting stuff in this area. So I'm going to get straight into some of this material. The first one I want to talk about is Fix My Street, an app and a website for people. So some of you may have heard of Fix My Street. I can't see you all, nature of how the tile works here, but some of you may have used it before, some of you may not. So if I just explain what it is, and I'll flick then onto the website in a minute. What Fix My Street is about is being able to report things and log things with the council. So Fix My Street is a product from one of the big charities, and they've integrated this with all the councils across the UK, including Northern Ireland. And what it allows you to do, it's an app that you download from your, app store. You open it, and straight away it knows where you are. So if you can see on here, I don't know if I've got a mouse pointer visible, but you can see an X in the middle of it, where you are, and it'll show you where you are, and it'll say, what are you reporting? Is it graffiti? Is it rubbish? Is it streetlights? And all those things that you would report possibly to the council. The joy is, I'm not sure we got that many, we've got a couple of council people today, but no offense to the council, but sometimes if you ring, you could be on the phone for quite a long time going through all the phone systems and stuff like that. The joy of this is it logs it instantly, and Fix My Street packages it and sends it to that local council. And the joy is you don't need to know where you are. You don't need to know, are you in Torfaen or Blaen y Gwent? I'm on the boundary. The GPS knows where you are. You don't, so you confirm the location, add a photo, optional, of what it is, potholes, anything, select the category. And then if you want to add some description in, you can, and bang, off it goes. And you'll get a receipt back. So where I'm in Vale of Glamorgan, I'll get a receipt back within an hour of saying we've received it, here's your reference number and stuff like that. It integrates with every single council. If you're a council on here today, you're like, no, it doesn't. It does. It just wraps it up and submits it like any other way. So that makes sense. So you also can go to the website, and this is why I think it's important to community people here. So even if you're not using the app yourself, you can go on the website, put it in anywhere, a postcode, a location, and see what people are logging in your area. Some people log them with their name on them, people like me do. Some people log them anonymously. And what it allows you to do is you put an area in, and this is where I live. And actually, these are my ones that I've logged. So you can see here, around where I live, I've logged a number of ones. Some of them, sadly, things like rats, broken street lights. You might see a little theme there. I don't know if my mouse is showing it. But there's a little path like that. That's where I cycle to work every morning. Well, I was cycling to work. So I was noticing things along the way. And until I saw this map, I didn't realize how much of a pattern there was as I cycled to TPAS office in Cardiff. So I can see my own, but also, and this is a typical one, you can see it's been logged. I just picked up Wrexham, just put it in this morning, last week. Chris Warwick, logged some potholes on Riffin Road, and that gets routed based on the category into the right department at Wrexham Council. Now, you think, are they really going to be listening to this? Do they really care? Actually, they do. I get a great response of this because it's got a location on it, it's got a picture and a description. And so for the councils, they can act on it. I was standing outside a music venue in the Taff Embankment, if you know the Riverside area of Cardiff. I'm standing waiting for a taxi, and there were some rats running around. And I know that area where I was standing outside is an area of social housing. I'm not going to name the landlord. There were some rats running there. I took a photo, location, and this is 10:30, 11 o'clock at night while I'm waiting for my taxi to go home. Next morning, I got an email saying, thanks very much, we've logged it. About 2 hours later, I got another email from Cardiff Council saying, we're sending somebody out now to look at it and to put traps down and things like that. So, the reality is why I like it is, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have logged on to Cardiff Council and created an account and done that at 10:30, 11 o'clock. I might have had a couple of drinks inside me, or remember to do it the next day. And I think it's a really empowering tool. So neighbourhood officers, when we've delivered this before, it was a coastal, when they're out in the neighbourhoods and people are saying stuff, they're logging it for them, graffiti, antisocial behaviour, not antisocial behaviour, sorry, but, abandoned cars, things like that, all logged quickly. And so you can see an area, this is around Llangwynlais area. I think Newydd's office is probably somewhere in there, but they're just random places I've put in to see. And you roll over each one and you can read what's in that area. Equally, this is Cardiff. A lot of things get logged in Cardiff, but you can zoom into your area. So if you were, say, Taff Housing, Taff's got quite a defined patch, or Cardiff Community Housing. You could log in and see what's being logged in your area, in your estates if you have them. It's a bit different for Mel with family because it's quite spread out, your stock. But I think it's really useful to look at these things and see what's trending almost in the complaints world of your area. Because it might be you want to do something about it. I've acted on this. I noticed once that an estate called the Poets Estate near me, there was lots of individuals logging street lighting issues. There was clearly different street lights in this estate. So there's clearly a theme there. And I managed to flag down one of my local councillors and speak to them and say, I think you may not have picked up yet, but you've got a pattern. You need to look at the street lighting in the Poets. And they did act on that. So that was Fix My Street. I don't know if anyone's seen it or used it before, but that was the first of the tools today. I think it's empowering to put it in newsletters. You're empowering tenants to log stuff. It feels like you're in control, that you can have your, and you can act quickly and get it into the council and raise these issues. And some of them actually positively encourage it. Carmarthen Council, I think, have put it in their newsletters. They want to know if there's a vermin problem or if there's issues, they want to know these things. So next one, Helpful Peeps. Don't know if anyone's heard of this. So Helpful Peeps, welcome to the calmer economy. It's a site where people offer things, more of their services or time, and where people are looking for services or time. So this isn't about a buy or sell, I want an electrician or something like that. There's other things can do that. This is more about people helping each other. And you can see the theme here of this session today, and helping people and people looking for help and people who are offering it. So it could be things like, this is Cardiff Conservation Volunteers, posting on there saying, we want people to help build a boardwalk in Radderwoods. Great, bring stuff along, and they get a lot of volunteers in the past through this. Equally, here's Shane Foley talking about, I don't know anything about charity structures and constitutions. We got somebody on here today, Mel, who understands that. But here's Chris Law, appropriate name, and saying, yeah, I know a little bit, and I've got a friend who knows a hell of a lot. Want to chat? And so the help, just offering a bit of help. This is not legally binding, it's just people coming together to help people out with issues. This is an example of Cheryl. So Cheryl is currently learning some Welsh and work, but wanted a chat, an area, somewhere to practice. There's me, David, Helpful Peeps. Certainly a lot in my area. I've got a mate, Matt, who arranges these sort of stuff in Cardiff. I'll message him, and there's Matt then going, hi, Cheryl, coming down to our learners group and stuff, It's a free learners group, and she actually joined and became one of their more active volunteers and took on part of the role of running the group. So for Matt, he was really grateful. So you can see how this thing works, Some of it, this was Rachel. She was a journalism student who wanted some experience. And there's me going, hi, come and do some stuff for us. It could be as simple as, I need some help, I'm disabled, I need some help moving some boxes downstairs. Anyone who's strong and there was a couple of replies on that saying, yeah, I'll come and move your boxes downstairs. Or it could, here's moving stuff seems to be, anyone got any spare boxes or a tile cutter they can borrow? Now, the only thing I'd say about Helpful Peeps is it needs momentum, it needs people on there. So you might go, thanks for that, Dave, I'll log in now. Oh, there's nobody in my area. You might need to put it in a newsletter. You might need to tell people about it. So you create, an area. Colin in Northern Ireland asked me to do some of that last year on this, and I looked up their area, and they had much more things like, early morning walks. Libby up here, she was saying if somebody wants to walk the dog in the morning, it's a bit dark. Anyone else want to come and shed, do dog walks together? So we've got, some strength in numbers type thing, or rock climbing, or a photo walk together. You can see where these sort of things can come about. So the next one, so that was more people time. If you looked, it was more about volunteering or helping. Street Bank, I think, is more about sharing things in your neighborhood, more about physical items. So what I mean by that is if you want to give away things or you want to share stuff, you've got a ladder, like in this example, ladder or drill that doesn't get used much and somebody might want to borrow it, or share skills. So here's a quote in my area. You know, I was looking for Lego from a 4-year-old. A neighbour got in touch and ended up giving me 3 bucketfuls. That's so much that half of it went to my son's school. Because it might be, there's probably someone, the statistics of Lego, anyone's had kids, they've probably got some, they don't need it anymore. There's probably someone out there who does. And I think Street Bank helps that sort of reuse agenda. So again, you register in your area and you can get points. It's a bit like a TripAdvisor, you know, if you lend something to somebody, you get points for that. If you borrow something and return it on time, you get points, you know, and you can build it up. So here's 2 of mine. Actually, no, so there's 1 of mine there. I've got a tall step ladder, really tall step ladder. It was for something, you know, Penarth, it's got all high ceilings. So mine's on, I never use it. 1 DIY job. So it's on there if anyone wants to borrow a ladder, and a couple of people have. I've also got a triple set that a builder left in my garden. You know, the triple ladders, no use to me. But I don't want to chuck them in a skip or anything. So I've got a list on there if anyone needs to borrow a triple ladder. You know, a lot of items that you wouldn't use very often. And you can also, what I like about Street Bank is, you can also create your own closed communities effectively. So Chobham Lakes Management Company, that is actually a caravan site that have created their own community where they borrow drills and things off each other. And you know you're within a community of trust. Or Holly Hill Neighbourhood Association, and they really did define exactly who was in the group and who wasn't, you know. But you've got that 24 members sharing and supporting each other. Whatever Wigginton Village is, don't know where that is, but again, they've got their own closed groups, you know. Or sorry, people have to be request and join, you know. But I think what's more interesting now is this more hybrid world. So that was just an online one, the Library of Things. I don't know if anyone's heard of the Library of Things, but it's fascinating, this subject. And in fact, before I go into it, it's where, I'll show you a video now, but it's where you can borrow, sometimes for a small charge, things from effectively like equivalent of going to a library and borrowing a book. You might go there and borrow a rake or a rucksack or something like that. So if I come off this a minute, I've got a better video to show, I hope. This is where it all starts going wrong. Where's my video gone? Right. Got some volume, I'm hoping. I just saw this. I wanted to show the whole 2 minutes, but I think it explains it better.
Library of Things is a space where you come and borrow useful things.
You won't find many books in this library in West Norwood. It's full of things like DIY equipment, electronics and camping gear, all available to hire at incredibly low prices.
We are still learning and improving our stock list. But we went with what are the kinds of things that are really useful, but that clog up our cupboards, or expensive to buy.
The concept is simple enough. Anyone can join for free, browse the online catalogue and borrow up to 5 items a week.
I just bought a house and it needs a lot doing, and I've needed lots of tools and things, and it's great that I could just come here and get something because I don't have the time nor money to go and get small pieces of equipment.
It's been open for a month now and already has a star item, the carpet cleaner.
I think it's most popular because it costs £150, £200 to buy, costs a lot to hire, and from us you can borrow it for 3 days for £9.
The majority of the stock was donated by the local B&Q, other things from members of the public.
Yeah.
This new social enterprise is all part of a growing trend for a sharing economy, accessing products and services rather than buying them.
It has environmental benefits, using less resources, it's saving you money. It also means that you're not cluttering up your space with stuff you don't need, so there's convenience, but also there's creating trust and connections in a community that otherwise wouldn't have happened.
And it's the community element Bex and Sophia are so keen to uphold. They plan to host workshops run by local people to teach the skills needed to use the items they're lending out.
Thanks for coming along. Should we sign you up? Yes, please.
And they hope that in the future, people from other parts of London will be signing up to create their own library of things. Alice Solfield, BBC.
So I'm hoping that gave an example of the library of things. I'll try and return to my slides. Wherever it's gone, where's the library of things gone? I messed this up last time and the slides didn't move on. Let's see. Sorry. So I hope you got an idea of what a library of things is. The good thing is they're all around the world. Some of them take over old shops that are being, you know, we've all got high streets around Wales that have got some disused shops. You know, challenging times for the high street. And they've taken this as in Toronto, a library of things where people can go in and it brings footfall into the high street using, you know, something empty. And I think that's really important at the moment. So they've used high street, other people have used containers and things like that. But the joy is that we have one in Wales. The first one's called Benthyg. It's in Cardiff West, Rumney Way, I think it is. And they've created one. I've spoken to them and they're going to come and do for those who are interested, I'll do a free TPAS session on the library of things where she will answer those questions about what's popular, how does the insurance work and the liability, and how are they operating under COVID, because they shut down for the first 2 months, but now they're reopened in August and they're doing really well, Benthyg. You can go to their website and have a look at it afterwards, but they are thriving and they're keen to roll out and help other people create more in Wales, if that makes sense. Can people see me? And are you seeing I've lost the display settings a bit. Sorry, I have to come out a minute. You're not seeing that material, are you? No, okay, sorry. I messed this up last time. I shouldn't. Go in. Right. Sorry, there was some pictures there you may have not seen about there's Toronto in a shop, and some of the links here to Benthyg, which I say I'd really recommend having a look at. But we will run a session soon on this. Right. And the video I showed as well, if you wanted to show the idea, there's that YouTube video we just played. So the next idea, Nextdoor. Anyone using Nextdoor at the moment? So it's massive in the US. It's used across lots of different countries. And it's a form of social media, but for local communities. You can only sign up for your area. And they send in the post like a code to put in. So I can only take part and chat in my area where I live. It's very active in my area. And some people call it Facebook for old people. I think it's a little bit unfair. You're not going to get 20-year-olds on Facebook, on Nextdoor. It does have a slightly older demographic. Although when I ran this before, it might have been Claire Hammond from Wales and West, like, oi, I'm not that old, you know, I'm using it. I don't, it just, I think it has a more of a, this is not a youngster product. But Nextdoor is free to join, and it's a useful community site for local information, find out what's going on, finding local tradespeople. There's a very good app which keeps you up to date with things, what's happening in your area. Community groups post on there. I'm called Friends of Bellevue Park, and we put news and updates on there. And people can find out about things, local things happening. So there's categories here. You know, you can see business for sale, local deals, events, lost and found. I actually posted on here in the summer during COVID. The dog escaped from my front garden, and suddenly I was like, "Where's the dog?" And I posted on there going, "Has anyone seen a Springer Spaniel in my area?" And people came out of their houses, they'd seen it on next door, and somebody offered to get in their car and come and help me look and stuff like that. So I think it's really useful community resilience site to use. You can see here upcoming events, actually old upcoming events, people posting about careful the drain covers are missing on Summerland Crescent, you know, in Clondock. It could be also this was, I think this might be United Welsh. So they've had a development. They had some, landscape areas that need unadopted soft landscape areas. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but presumably grass. And they had a contractor that was coming in from Bristol all the way to Penarth. And they were like, is there a company that wants to take it on locally? I think this is really important for the foundational economy, that we post things like this here in an area where people will see it, and a number of people will go, yeah, I'm really keen to take on that service and stuff like that. Give local businesses a chance. And you can on there, you'll see people using it for consultations, talk about planning applications. You can get a feel for what the community mood is. Again, during COVID, I had, for some reason, a ridiculous amount of chive seeds. I ended up planting them, I got too many of them, so I ended up posting on here. And people came and collected them. COVID, shops were shut. I ended up getting rid of about 4 trays of this stuff, of chive seeds. I know it's weird, but people wanted it, it was free stuff. And again, they were all local within the streets of my area. Got plenty, so restock if they go, and I kept restocking over about 4 days of these. But equally, back in the pre-COVID world, there were, people, we're a friendly pool team, we need an extra player. There's somebody out there, loneliness, isolation, who might want to join a pool team and get involved, And some of it's also then gone offline. So things like the next door ladies. So this is in my area. Ladies would chat on next door, then started meeting in the Ocha Lounge for coffee, and again, I think it's really important for the loneliness and isolation agenda. I've used it as well to get views from people. So I had a TPAS survey I wanted to test with over 60s before we sent it out across Wales. So I asked my local next doorers who were over 60, would you fill it in just to test it and give me some feedback? I got 33 responses from over 60s in 48 hours. Now, if you went down the high street, and stood there trying to get over 60s to fill in a survey, 1, it's hard. 2, they'll probably just tell you whatever you want to get rid of you. Whereas I got 33 responding in on this survey in less than 10 minutes. I did offer a little voucher, I said I'd donate £25 to our local park. In return, I didn't have to do that, but I wanted to see if it would help. And I'm involved with that committee anyway, so I ended up making a donation to the committee I'm on. But I think this is important, getting local views. I know TAF have used it before, and I think a couple of others have as well. There's also, in COVID, there was a help map designed as well, so people offering help. I'm happy to go and pick up prescriptions, or I pass Lidl most days and have to go in for work purposes. Anyone need anything? Stuff like that. I think these are really important resources that help strengthen our community. What it means is a green dot, you have to roll over each one and read it, which is a bit irritating. What 4 means is that there's 4 people within the same street offering different things. So you have to click on it and it shows then the 4 or the 6, 10 in that area, in that street. Some really helpful people on that street in Llandoch by the looks of it. But yeah, again, people offering that community spirit that we're hoping we can build on from COVID. There's also other sites, Pre-Loved, which is again a free cycle version, a free place. So I've used this for about 2 years now, but the reason I do is because I just like it. A poker table with folding legs and drink holders. Someone offering it for free. Why would you want that? Unless you play poker. Actually, it's perfect for community groups, You know, you could have Lego on there, you could have kids stuff on there, drinks holders so they're not knocking over their drinks. You know, I think that's, you know, it shouldn't be used for poker. I think that should be used in a community environment, you know, fold away, and after you've used it, reuse, you know, post it again. But also, I don't know if you've seen many of these, there's a growth in Facebook of reuse projects. So you go on there and you can see people who are giving away stuff for free. The rules are very strict, no money, no donation, nothing on the side. It's people who've got stuff they want to give away, because a lot of the charity shops are overwhelmed at the moment. A lot of stuff charity shops won't take as well, but are perfectly good. And so you know, I'm part of a really active one in my area. And there's, you know, I posted also, so the last time I ran this training, I posted this about the night before I ran this training, really random thing. I opened a cupboard in my house and these things fell out. I didn't even know what they were. I was like, not actually sure what these are or why I've got them, but anyone want them? And people were like, yeah, please. And I gave within, you know, minutes, someone came and collected them. I'm still not 100% sure that. I think they do with cards or tables or something. But anyway, so there can be low value stuff. There's also people giving, you know, who don't need certain things anymore and just want to give them away. I think are really useful, these projects. There's a number of them now across Wales, and also it's there for you to create, you know, create yourself. Meetup, another one. Anyone use Meetup? So Meetup is where, if you're looking to run, you know, in your area, like-minded people, so easy if I give an example here. So a French class, you know, people who want to have conversational French, but in a cafe or a restaurant environment and stuff like that. Again, we reuse, instead of paying for things, let's get people who are like-minded meeting together. I actually have been to Bitcoin Wales. It's in Wales, in Cardiff, where people talk about Bitcoin and the uses and things like that. I know some of this is really anarchy, but it's all about whatever you're into. So, you know, agile computer development, things like this. Again, this is what I went to recently. This was a Brighton meetup in Brighton, because it's all online. I asked, could I come along? They were like, yeah, no problem. And this was around digital accessibility, how to design more accessible websites. And they were running free sessions because they had a sponsor, Legal in General, who were paying for the speaker. And again, you know, it doesn't have to be local in this online world. Say I'm going to a Brighton meetup event. This is Pontypridd. I think it was the week before lockdown. You know, happiness and well-being groups, film nights being offered, life drawing classes. Lots of different people offering different things for people to, again, loneliness and isolation agenda, teaching people new skills. You know, we want our communities to be running things like this. I'm nearly on it. I'm nearly come to an end now. What I wanted to mention was Neighbourly, because this has always existed, but it's really come to the fore, I think, during COVID. So Neighbourly offers community groups and businesses to register. So if you're a community group or you're a housing association and you're looking for volunteers, you can post on there what you're looking for, and it will target people in your area if you're looking for volunteers. Equally, if you want to volunteer for things, you can register on there what you're interested in, and it will match you then with people, organizations who are looking for those type of things. You can also post on there for fundraising, what you're looking to fundraise for. And there are people there who will see it, and you can share your page and attract donations. And I've looked at this site, and people do get good donations, they're good to volunteers. But where COVID's come along is product surplus. So have you ever seen, you wonder, this community group's just been given, you know, a load of Easter eggs from Lidl that they couldn't sell. How did they end up with that? A lot of it is actually through this site. So you can register as an organization as to what things you'd be looking for, and businesses can register on it and give and look for organizations that they want to give away stuff to. This is really active at the moment. Marks and Spencers are using this site, Lidl's, Aldi, a lot of big names are using this site to distribute surplus that they have as part of their community commitment at the moment. And a lot of organizations are benefiting from there. So also some charity foundations on there as well, with some old names like Knights Templar and the Honourable Society of the Carpet Fitters or whatever. I'm slightly making that up, but some old name charities, and they're looking for organizations on there to give away financial help as well. So again, if you've got community groups, if you've got arms of your housing association, there may be things that you want to get registered on there, so that your communities can benefit from those surpluses or money that's available. Another one, Placecheck. Placecheck, I think, is really interesting for doing community consultations. So it's a way of it's tools like an app you can download, you can register, and resources for doing what's good about your community and what people want to see better. If you're a community organization, I think it's free. If you're a local authority, a housing association, there is a charge, but they give you almost all the tools to do those things. There's resources on there, 21 questions to ask on a walkabout in your community, things like this. So again, it's worth checking out this type of material. This makes sense. And there are some others in this pack. Streets Alive, resources on how holding street parties and events. What are the regulations for how do you even block off a street, legally? How do you cover the insurance and the liability of having a street party and stuff like that? There's a website for that, we'll help you through it. So I've rushed through, probably a bit too fast, a number of concepts. Very happy to pull the slides back up and go through individual ones, but what do people think of this sort of stuff? Oh, Herman's saying that they use the product surplus stuff. Shall I unmute everybody? Do people want to unmute themselves? So you've used that, Herman, have you, with community groups, or?
Yeah, Claire is our champion. So yeah, we've been using it for, I would say, a year and a half now. But you have to register the community group, not the association.
Yeah.
So like our St. Mellons Community Garden, Unity, Refresh, loads of little community groups. The best thing I would say is look at where you've got community groups, and then look at the stores that are available within driving distance. So the three we use is Marx's, Aldi's, and Lidl's.
Yeah.
And once you've registered through Neighbourly, they pair you with one of the shops nearest to your community group. And then the contact then gets either email or text, depending what you've decided to have, that there is a surplus at your store, collect between 10 to 12.
Good.
So yeah, it's been brilliant. And it's from perishable to what they call ambient stuff. So there's literally anything they sell in the shop you can have. In Marx's, those who know Wilson West, where we've moved, Marx's is literally opposite us. So we get a lot of flowers. So people get a lot of, so what we do, we take it to because the community group can use all the flowers. We put it in the canteen. People give donation, which goes towards that community group's charity.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you've been, some of you who've been to the meetings in Wilson Westwood, oh, sorry, I've got the postman breaking down the door.
I'll mute them there a second. So good. I think we're already seeing somebody who's already using that thing. Benthig as well. I think, I'm not sure what it means in the comments, similar to Benthig and Rumley. Is that another one? But I know if people are interested, I don't know if you want to do a quick thumbs up, but I can get the leader of the Benthig group, the Library of Things, to come and do a TPAS session on how they run it, what they're seeing, all the liability questions and things like that, because it's all covered. There literally are documents, waivers. She was like, no, people get hung up on all this. It's actually really easy to manage. And she's really passionate about it. She's trying to get some money through the landfill tax for Wales, because as you know, the landfill tax, what they're doing is stopping things going into landfill. And so they're looking to get some money together and to help others and to create more of these across Wales. So again, if people are interested, we'll get up a session going with her, and you can quiz her till your heart's content on how it all works, you know. So recite, what's the link? Do you want to just explain what the link is? You're on mute.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, I just realised I was on mute. I was going to type it in. But yeah, that's a link to a podcast. It's called Seismic Wales. It's a tremendous podcast where they go around to loads of community organisations and activities in and across Wales. And Benthyg is on there. I've just put a link to the interview with Benthyg. So if anyone's got a bit of time,
I've covered a lot
listen
already. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great.
So that's good. So you might not, you know, as I say, we'll have a look, see if that covers a lot of the stuff already. But if we think we need a session, we'll run one with them. I know they're keen to. Do you want to cite things areas? Good point, Sarah. Sorry. I know Powys Council had a look, and there were clearly some really empty areas in Powys, you know. But what I've said is, I think that's why it needs to go into the magazines and into newsletters or social media. And I'm hoping Katie will work with me on afterwards. If anyone thinks of any use, we've been asked before to write some of these concepts into, you know, easy cut and paste, you know, Yon are all translated, so it's all bilingual, cut and paste with an image into your social media, you know, and you could run them over weeks or months of, you know, site of the week or community tool of the week or something. And I'm hoping that then that will create that momentum, you know. So some of the things like Fix My Street, the first one I did, I know, because I was having a look at Bangor, because that's where I went to university. I know there's a number of things registered there, but if you go out into some of the parts of Gwynedd, no, it does get a bit quieter. But again, I think it's because of knowledge, you know, and people using it. I suspect probably the Bangor ones are all students. Although I did chuckle, I looked at it this morning, and someone had logged that down by, you know, Boatyard there in Bangor, someone had logged that there was drug dealing and it was a drug house. I was like, students might want to know that. It was logged. That might backfire on them a bit, the person who was logging the drug dealer's house. Yeah, no, some of them have got different take-ups, obviously. But the street one, Next Door, has anyone used Next Door? That's normally the one people have used before. No? No one's used it. Come off mute if you want. You don't need to listen to me which are on. If you wanna... Were any of them actually any use, or which one was the most interesting? I know I've went through them fast, so if you can't remember their names, just describe it, and I'll remember which one you're referring to.
I think, sorry. I think for the individual tenants and the people in life, I think the things like Next Door, the ones that have the social aspect, that's what they're going to want personally the most.
Yes.
But I really love that idea of library of things. I'd never heard of it before, and I think I live in a deprived area too, in my estate and all that, and I'm thinking that could be so useful if we could get some of that running in the Barry area. Yeah,
I think Benthyg, their carpet cleaner, because I asked them that because it was £7 in London for a week. Theirs is £3 for a carpet cleaner to borrow. You know, who can afford one? And like I said in the video, it's bulky. You don't use it that often. And it's too expensive to buy. If you can borrow one for £3,
yeah,
you know, worthwhile. Some of their stuff is free. Some of it is like 50p to borrow a chisel or something. You know, I think they're really important resources, the Library of Things. And it's that hybrid of some of it you can book online and you can look through their catalogue, but also you can go to there. And let's be honest, Wales has not only some surplus office space, but it has some surplus high street buildings. We all know in our own communities where.
I have a surplus leisure centre around the corner.
Yeah.
Might be big enough.
You know, and some of them are actually owned by councils or housing associations, you know. I think some of them, isn't Merthyr Valley own a block of street shops in one of their estates, I think, you know. It might be that a Library of Things could be an amazing thing for them, you know. And there's people who benefit definitely. got that skills, knowledge, and want to expand this across Wales, you know. Because there's platforms, the web, you know, the internet has already developed the platform that is the catalogue and the checking in and out and stuff like that. There's free ones and there's some ones that are chargeable, but you get that part of your funding and stuff like that to create it. So you're not reinventing any wheel in the library of things, you know. And it may not be for the housing association to run, but it might be you can be the facilitator, the enabler to maybe help get one in your area, you know. Even just if we run an event where we introduce it and maybe you get some people along too, you know, I'm not trying to sell ourselves, it'll just be, we want to be the enabler to enable you to enable your community. If that makes any sense.
I like the idea of the, oh, I'm on mute. No, I'm off mute. I like the idea with the library of things, but the lessons, the sessions to teach people how to use the tools. And I thought that would be great to have things like colleges involved.
Yes.
So they've obviously got, you know, trained individuals who have also skilled in training other people. But there's there's a clear opportunity to link with so many different partners with that. And you can obviously you've got local residents as well who've got, you know, expert knowledge. It's fantastic, really. I
think that's exactly it. How do you use some of these things? How do you use a sewing machine? I've got 3 in this house because sadly my mother passed and my auntie Jean passed, and they all were people who've come from that generation. You know, the sewing machine. I don't know what to do with it.
I've done that with a sewing machine. So I used to work with a community group when I was managing the community's first project in Colwyn Bay, and so we had that with a little community group where they would show people. They had 3 sewing machines and they would loan them out and show people how to use them as well. So,
and if you've got a hub where you know it's going to go to a good use, I've got 3 here. You know,
my wife will have them.
I need a line. So yeah. But if I knew there was somewhere in my area I could donate them to, and someone would show them how to use, and they could borrow them for a £5 a week to try it out or something, or if they have a surplus, give them away. I'd love that, you know. There is a lot of, we buy too many things in society and not all of them are being used, are they? And that's the whole, all of these sites, whether it was Nextdoor, Penarth Reuse Project, you know, all those ones, it's about trying to shift our stuff around to people who need it because there's too much of it around, you know. And that, you can see where that landfill element comes into it, you know. Too many people chuck stuff.
Yeah, the group I worked with also showed people how to upcycle clothing as well. So that instead of, again, reducing landfill. So, you know, things like people didn't know how to sew. They'd go and buy their kid a new school shirt because they didn't know how to sew a button on and things like that. So one of our community groups set up to show people those skills as well, really.
It's good. And I think really I've seen on Nextdoor things like people saying, I've got an apple tree in my garden, but it's a bit wild and I don't know what to do with it. And somebody on Nextdoor went, I don't know, cut apple trees, you know, it's my, sounds a bit arrogant. They weren't as arrogant as I'm sounding. They were just like, yeah, I'll come around and show you how to trim and to get the fruit to work. Because there's people out there, there's a lot of gardening knowledge out there. I'm guessing some of your residents urban in Wales and West, some of your sheltered schemes, they know more about gardening than, you know, than a book would. And they might be, they've got skills that they can share with other people. Amanda knows something about, is it looming or I don't know what even.
Looming. No, yeah, garden, yeah, is very popular, obviously. That's one of my biggest projects come the summer. Obviously, it was different this year because we couldn't do a lot of these, but still the demand was coming. So yeah, a lot of our retirement scheme have their own garden and we've enabled them to develop, you know, raised beds, you name it. They've got some hours singing and dancing and they grow their own veg and they use it. If they've got surplus, they put it in the communal lounge and the other residents come and take it. So yeah, this is really good. On the thing of sewing, my wife, that's my wife's business, basically. I'm not plugging her business, but yeah, she does all recycling and up fashion, basically. The Sustainable Studio, it's called. And I'll ask her, she's got loads of sewing machines. If she needs any more, I'll ask her, yeah. And she's all about, you know, keeping clothes out of the landfill, basically. She's massive on that. Yeah. And she's a fashion designer, basically, so she produces her own clothes. but she produces a limited amount. She doesn't mass produce stuff. So they are exclusive pieces, and she encourages people to wear them for a long time. I know she's got a t-shirt going, "I promise to wear you more than 3 times." Yeah. And I was like, what, 3 times? I've got clothes in the wardrobe, which I've had for like 15 years.
I know. And that's it. We've got to keep society, haven't we? We've got to try and break some of that, you know. Reese's put on the side there about, she offers to help cut grass. I haven't seen on Street Bank, because my Street Bank isn't that that popular area. Next door is the more dominant one, and I have seen that on there. People asking for a bit of help to clear up their garden, or just to help. It's all about the wording, though, isn't it? But when people said, "Look, you know, I can't do this, is anybody can come and help me?" Yes, I've seen it on Next Door for me in my area. It's about which sites take off and which ones don't, you know. Yeah. Cool. So would you see using any of this? Would you see it being of any use if Katie wrote some of this up into usable text? I might make one where it's all of them in one, you know, links and a description, so it could go maybe in an email. But if you've got formats or how you might use it, let me know afterwards.
Could you make something, a nice pretty poster that we could easily share on Facebook, for example?
Yeah, we can do anything. We haven't started, so yeah.
Just thinking, you know, we as people ourselves, we could share it within our communities, and it's so much easier than your face. Because as you said, the ages you're looking at who want the help the most are more likely on Facebook than Instagram, but it's shareable across all spectrums.
Yes, yeah, I think so. And some of these are, you know, especially like Martin is involved with digital inclusion and stuff like that. I view them as next step sites to go on to once you've had your first keyboard skills, because Nextdoor is a lovely, safe place. I've been on it for a number of years now, and it hasn't got all the anger and the keyboard warriors in there, and, you know, it's not anonymous as such. So, and Fix My Streets, I think, Herman confers. We did this with Wales and West, and we showed them how to add the app onto their phone. You know, this was a pre-COVID session where we actually helped them on their phone download it, and off they went with it, and they were logging everything under the sun. You know, because there's stuff in their community they want to log. You know, Amanda, you said, do they get past to housing associations? No, because they're council related issues, not housing as such, you know, broken lights.
But you said, for example, the rat situation, it could be on the housing property.
It could, but that would be council then, kind of council to discuss it with housing association based in Paris. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one I was going to look into myself, David, and thanks very much. A really useful session. But the Fix My Street, I'm sure you're aware, everything's very disjointed in Northern Ireland. Councils are only responsible for a small number of services, and we've got lots of other organisations. So it's something I'll look into to see what way they operate in Northern Ireland here, because I could see it being a really useful.
I think it does work though, because I'm sure I put in Bangor once, and obviously I got the other Bangor, your Bangor, and I can see stuff logged there in that area. It might be a more limited menu for yourselves, yeah. But I know the app does work there. I think there's a number of, I'm just going to flick back and see if this works. No, I'm still on that. When you have good intentions, but it doesn't always work. Can't now see the exit for this. Oh, there it is.
London News.
Oh, shit.
Library of Things is a space where you can...
Stop. Right. The Fix My Street, I think now there's a number of councils who are using this, you know. That's what I was going to say, integrating it. Can't see, it's just logged off now. Oh well. but yeah, the councils themselves can use this service if they want to integrate the back end. So instead of having their own login area on their website, actually it takes people to Fix My Street itself and use that, you know. It is something that I say Carmarthen, I think, are now developing as well. You know. Okay. Have use, not have use? Was this just a free thing? They're just things I see, and I like putting these things together into a couple of slides and wittering on for an hour about them. Because I think if you take one of them away, or if you do anything with them, I do feel strongly that we need to help tenants in their communities create stronger communities, you know. And I think they can do that. It's empowering, you know. So yeah, thank you, Martin, for your comments. If anyone wants the slides, they'll be on the website. If anyone's a recording of this to play back, it'll be available. If anyone wants to talk about them offline, you know, or uses of it, yeah, showcasing the site of the week. It depends on Katie's workload, but over the next week or two, I'm hoping we can put this into some material. We'll send it out to everyone who registered for this. And if you want it reshaped or redone, then, you know, good. Yeah, Mel, persuade the RSL to take some of it on board. Thank you, yes. Yeah, maybe if we do it into a more of a...
They didn't the last time, David. I put the whole lot to them and they said, oh yeah, I'm sure we can use some of this, and nothing ever happened.
Okay.
So try again.
Right, that's not a good ending to a TPAS event. Come on, somebody more optimistic than that. But no, I think, you know, certainly the Library of Things seems to be the one that most people seem to be interested in today. And from other sessions I've run on this, I really think it's that network as it recently the chat's just gone above, but build a network of these across Wales. Yeah, we need it, don't we? And we need to save people money, or just enable them to do things themselves. You know, I think it's really important. So I'm happy to stay, chat to anybody, but I don't want to keep you unnecessarily. This was the hour. I
was just gonna say the Library of Things, they could pair up or link up with the repair cafes. There's quite a lot of them in Wales now, so they could go hand in hand. I know Grange Pavilion are looking into the Library of Things now. They've just opened with their new pavilion now.
Yes,
but they've always had the repair cafe, so they're looking now to create that Library of Things, which will go hand in hand. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it would. You're right. That's a very good point. Yeah. So you can borrow. You can see how to get things prepared, and also you can borrow things at next to nothing. Benthing is cheap, you know, because they say a lot of stuff they were given. It's amazing how many DIY chains and people supported them as well. That London one was fitted out by B&Q, you know, as part of their community outreach. It must have impacted them, but I guess if you train people to use stuff themselves, they might do more DIY. I don't know. I don't know what the business model for DIY B&Q is. Maybe they're just nice. Don't know about that. Anyway, good. You can exit if you want. You're not. I won't keep you anymore. I'm happy to stay. Obviously, I can send you the slides out if people want that. I'll stop the recording.